Now, we have had a few changes to the lineup of the show. Originally, our guest in the opening segment was going to be Peter Navarro, and he was scheduled to be here, and he was getting ready to board an airplane in Washington to fly here. Peter Navarro, who was with the Trump campaign, was with the entire administration right up until the day they turned the lights off and walked out. He was there the whole time. He was the architect of the Stand Up to China policy. We were excited to have him. He's also been in a legal battle because he has been, I guess, commanded to turn over all of the notes that he had at the White House to Nancy Pelosi's little sham committee over there, and he's refused. And the reason he refused is a constitutional reason because of the separation of powers. Made perfect sense, because if you have every one of the 535 members of Congress thinking that they can just subpoena things from another branch of government, you have destroyed the idea of separation of powers. So Peter Navarro and several other people in the Trump White House have said, until the courts tell us we have to give that material up, there is no settled law in the history of this country that Congress can make those kind of demands, so we're not going to do it. And I think that's the right call. Well, guess what? He's getting on the plane today, and, well, I'll let him describe it. He was in a news conference this afternoon, and here's why he's not here.
I spoke to the FBI agent who arrested me. I spoke to him Wednesday night. I said, Walter, whatever you need. You don't have to come banging on my door like you did last week getting me out of bed. I'm here to cooperate, okay? What did they do, right? I was on my way to Nashville today to do a TV appearance with Mike Huckabee's show.
Yeah, that's where he was headed. And as he was getting on the plane, they showed up, arrested him, put him in handcuffs, for heaven's sakes, and hauled him away to the pokey. And he got arraigned today. This is crazy, folks, because just as he said, he lives next door to the FBI. Did you hear that? He lives next door to the FBI, and he told them, if you need to talk to me, just let me know. And they didn't. They waited until a very public place, and then they came, threw handcuffs on him, and took him, put him in a jail cell this afternoon, and frog marched him around the courthouse lawn. Folks, our government is against us when they try to persecute rather than just prosecute a crime. And this is really frightening. And I hope we'll have Peter on the show very soon. I can't wait to visit with him about it. Obviously, he was looking forward to being here. And he would have been here, except for that little incident that kind of messed it up. Well, in a similar thing, just as I predicted, the trial of Michael Sussmann, who was prosecuted, I'd say persecuted, by Special Prosecutor James Durham, revealed at least 3 very important realities. The first was the overwhelming evidence that not only did Michael Sussmann lie to the FBI in trying to sell a totally concocted sham of a story that Donald Trump was in cahoots with the Russians, a story which, by the way, the FBI knew was phony but acted on it anyway, and that the whole lie was paid for by the Hillary Clinton campaign and the Democrat National Committee, and it was personally approved by Hillary herself. All that came out in the trial. The second was that in today's highly partisan judicial system, Michael Sussmann was going to be found innocent no matter what evidence showed. And the third was that the media would once again play the stooge for Hillary and the Democrats and keep the facts of the story from reaching most Americans. Special Prosecutor John Durham produced compelling evidence, and he did it from multiple documents, and it showed that Michael Sussmann was billing the Clinton campaign for a meeting that he took with former FBI official James Baker, all the while insisting that he was just acting on his own and as a friend. And he specifically said he wasn't affiliated with any campaign or organization. At the very least, Hillary ought to get her money back, since he made her pay for the meeting that he said was done as a public service. Sussmann, by the way, made up a story that was a bigger fake than Bigfoot and the abominable snowman combined. He took it to James Baker at the FBI. Now, Baker knew it was phonier than Lady Gaga's modesty, but he acted on it anyway. Multiple sources, such as text messages, FBI notes, and verbal testimony, corroborated that Sussmann was lying. But Sussmann, well, he wasn't convicted by a D.C. jury. And who honestly thought he would be? I sure didn't, and I have said so publicly for weeks. Here's why. Of the jurors, 3 of them on the jury were actual donors to the Hillary for President campaign. One of them was a donor to left-wing congressional kook Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And yet another had a daughter who played on a sports team with the daughter of, wait for it, Michael Sussmann. Sussmann himself, his own daughter. So since you only have to convince one of the 12 jurors to block a conviction, in this case, there were actually 5 pretty solid jurors who could be expected to see nothing, hear nothing, and say nothing. And in the end, do nothing. Oh, did I mention that Judge Cooper, the trial judge, who wouldn't allow some of the most important evidence against Sussmann? Did I mention that he's married to a lawyer who represents Lisa Page, the disgraced former FBI agent who helped cook the whole Russia story and who worked with her adulterous partner Peter Strzok at the FBI to bring down President Trump? Oh yeah, the same happy couple who described Trump voters as people that they could actually smell at Walmart. Folks, there was more cooking of the judicial process in all this than in Paula Deen's kitchen. And naturally, the media ignored the facts presented at the trial, which they didn't cover, by the way. But they declared the verdict vindicated Michael Sussmann and vilified Prosecutor Durham. It'd be accurate to call the defendant O.J. Sussmann. Yeah, because I have it on good authority that after the trial, he declared that he's going to vote the rest of his life to find the true liar. Think about that for a moment. Of course, he'll do that in between games of golf, naturally. It's hard not to be cynical about our justice system that treats people on the right or politically unempowered very differently than it does those who are highly connected or whose politics are left of center. But we can't win by just being angry, and especially we can never win by giving up and surrendering to these scams. We've got to persevere with patience and dogged persistence to vote in every election and to lift our voices loud against the lies, the corruption, and the double standards. And we should know that even if justice never prevails on this earth, one day we will all stand before our Creator and give an account. And no one will be given a pass on that day. Not me, not you, not even the politically well-connected who have shredded our Constitution and the application of the law.